Which brand makes the best t-shirts? I asked you guys online and got hundreds of responses. I tallied up all your responses and came up with the top 10 most popular t-shirt brands. I'm gonna be rating each tee based on its fabric, its workmanship, and overall value. At the end of the video, I'm gonna tally up all the scores and give you guys what I think is the best t-shirt on the market today. So keep watching. Let's start off with the most beloved fast fashion brand, Uniqlo. I have their UT that retails for $20. I swear, this used to be $15. This is made for 100% cotton, single jersey knit, nothing special. This is not pre-shrunk fabric. If you hold it against the light, you can see how loosely weaved it is. Uniqlo does this to save on cost because pre-shrunk fabric is more expensive. Expect this shirt to shrink at least 5 to 10%. This fabric does have some weight to it. I appreciate Uniqlo for not skimping out on the fabric thickness. Thicker cotton fabric is more durable, so you'll end up getting a higher cost per wear. Overall, the fabric is not bad, but there's nothing to go crazy about. I would rate the fabric a 6 out of 10. For the workmanship, this is where Uniqlo shines compared to other fast fashion brands. Flipping this tee inside out, every seam is straight and near perfect. The hem, sleeves, and neckline uses a chain stitch and finished off with a top stitch for a clean and more durable finish. Uniqlo even went as far as to add this little loop for the tag to hang on. Most brands would just stab the tag through the fabric, which will permanently damage the shirt, but not Uniqlo. There's extra fabric in between the neckline to make it thicker. Not saying that this won't become wavy over time, because it will, but it will hold its shape for a lot longer and you'll end up getting more wears out of this. I do wish that they add a neck lining for more comfort and durability. For the workmanship, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. For $20, this shirt is very well constructed and I do think you get a lot of value for this, so I have to rate it an 8 out of 10. That will give Uniqlo a total score of 22 out of 30. This brand has risen from the dead. Abercrombie and their best-selling essential tee. I'm expecting very high quality from this because this is from their premium line. It retails for $35. It's a single jersey knit made from 100% cotton. The cotton has been brushed for an extra soft and fluffy texture. So what fast fashion brands usually do to get a quick sale is that they run a brush through the cotton fibers. So a few fluffy and soft in stores and that'll get them a sale right away. But after just one wash, that fabric is never gonna feel the same. If you hold the shirt right in front of the light, you can see right through it, meaning that it is loose weaved. Brands will save money by not getting pre-shrunk fabric. It's more expensive because you end up using more fabric. Because of how loose weaved this shirt is, it would shrink 5 to 10% easy. The neckline feels so slinky that after a couple of washes, you're gonna end up with a lot of waves. I would rate this fabric a 5 out of 10. Let's take a look at the construction. Another thing that fast fashion brands do to deceive you is the neckline. The neckline only covers however much you see when it's hanging in stores. There's also a hole in my neckline. They most likely stabbed this price tag through and changed their mind and did it here instead. And now I have 2 permanent holes on my shirt. Thanks, Abercrombie. The hem and sleeve is just sewn with a chain stitch with no top stitch to finish it off. Over time, these threads are gonna start to pull. Flipping this shirt inside out, there's just busted seams everywhere. Here, 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 and here. This is embarrassing, so I have to rate the workmanship a 3 out of 10. The quality control for Abercrombie is just so low. $35 is not a lot for a tee, but for this, it is not worth it. I would rate the value of 4 out of 10. That would give Abercrombie a total score of 12 out of 30. The one-stop men's shop. From wax jackets to their iconic 365 pants and 10-year hoodie, everything I've owned from this brand has been high quality, so I have high expectations for their tee. By the way, I'm wearing Huckberry's cashmere polo and it's so comfortable. This is a single jersey knit made from 100% cotton. The tee is heavyweight, weighing in at 308 grams and its thickness measures to 1.19 millimeters. The fabric's advertised having a thick weave, so the texture has a slight rigidity to it, but it still feels cozy like a blanket. It's garment dyed and pre-washed, so that creates a more worn and vintage look. It has a nice thick rib collar that I don't see losing its shape anytime soon. The drape on this t-shirt is awesome. It has an even and straight aesthetic, and because of the heavyweight fabric, the shape will last. I'll rate the fabric a 9 out of 10. For the workmanship, this tee is made in the USA. I appreciate the extra fabric for the neck lining for comfort and durability. Flipping this tee inside out, I would appreciate it if they finished the shoulder and sleeve seams with a top stitch just to hold it in place so it doesn't flop left and right. There's a few overly long threads that they could have trimmed for a cleaner finish, but other than that, this tee is constructed almost perfectly. All the seams are straight and even. The collar, sleeve, and hem is finished with a top stitch. For the workmanship, I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. $68, that is not cheap, but it's constructed well and uses thick fabric, so I have to rate the value an 8 out of 10. That gives Flint Tinder a total score of 25 out of 30. Is this a t-shirt or body armor? Merz B Schwanen 2S14 is one of the heaviest and thickest t-shirt ever made. Oh, by the way, I'm currently wearing their 1950s loop wheel tee. This is a lighter version of their 2S14. This is made from 100% organic cotton with 380 GSM weight. The thickness measures to 1.5 millimeters. It uses 2-thread fabric using century-old loop wheel machines. There's only 2 countries in the world that has loop wheel machines, one in Japan and the other in Germany. Loop wheel dates back to the 1920s and is a very special way of knitting cotton yarns in a loop wheel machine. No manufacturer does this anymore because it's time consuming, it's inefficient, and it's very expensive. But this loop wheel process gives each tee its own individual characteristics. The texture is semi-rough and it has a horizontal slubby look. It also makes these tees more durable, hold its shape better, and it doesn't stretch out. Because of the loop wheel process, there are no side seams on this tee, giving it a more natural drape, which means this tee will never lose its shape. Something that I haven't seen from any other brands is the triangle gussets at the armpits. This extra fabric will give you more flexibility and comfort. 140 euros is the most expensive tee I've ever owned. With that price, I expect nothing but perfection. And when it comes to the construction of this tee, I get just that. Every seam and stitch is excellent with no noticeable flaws. But if I had to be nitpicky, there's a couple of things that I wish this tee did differently. First, I wish they used pre-shrunk fabric. Instead, expect the shirt to shrink at least 1.5 inches after the first wash, so you definitely have to go up 1 size. And second, I wish this tee had reinforced tape-like fabric to give that neckline and shoulder seams a more clean and finished look. Other than that, this tee is constructed flawlessly. Now, time to give this tee a rating. For the fabric, I'll give it a 9. For the workmanship, I'll rate it a perfect score of 10. $145 makes this the most expensive tee featured in this video, so I have to rate the value a 7. That gives Merz B Schwanen a total score of 26 out of 30. Got a belly that's been putting overtime at a buffet? These tees from True Classic claim to make you look like you never been to a buffet. This is a single jersey knit made from 60% cotton and 40% polyester. It's very lightweight with a fabric weight of 160 GSM. I've owned this t-shirt for about a year now and I've worn and washed it about 10 times. One thing that I like about this fabric is that it is still soft after 10 washes. And because of how stretchy the fabric is, the neckline doesn't become wavy. The fabric is loose knit, so it will shrink like crazy after the first wash. I'm talking about at least 2 inches from the length and width, so you definitely need to size up. Another thing is that it'll start to pill like crazy after the first wash. People buy this tee for the fit rather than the quality, and True Classic knows this, so the material is definitely skimped. I would rate the fabric a 4 out of 10. Because the shirt is designed to hide your belly, it has an A-line cut at the torso to hug your chest, but open wide down towards the waist. The sleeve opening is tapered to hug your arms to make you look more buff. The stitching on this shirt is the worst I've ever seen. This chain stitch fell off track and they didn't even bother to fix it. What a decent company would do would be to toss this shirt in the trash because it will not pass QC. But True Classic's like, whatever, let's sell it for $30, not my problem. The biggest flaw is the fit. I have 3 tees from True Classic. Every single tee fits differently and also made from a different factory. This is a major quality control issue, and for that, I have to rate its workmanship a 4 out of 10. For $30, that's expensive for what you're getting, so I have to rate it a 4 out of 10. That gives True Classic a total score of 12 out of 30. I've never owned a tee made by hemp before. By the way, I'm wearing Taylor Stitch merino wool tee in black and it's so soft. Hemp fibers are stronger and more durable than cotton. The fabric becomes softer after each wash. It's similar to linen where it's breathable, moisture wicking, and resistant to bacteria and odors. Taylor Stitch does a great job of blending cotton and hemp together to make this natural fiber tee. The fabric is extremely soft and comfortable. The thickness of the fabric measures to 0.41 millimeters and a size small weighs in at only 100 grams. I'm honestly surprised that you can make a tee this thin and lightweight. This is the perfect tee to wear during the summer, but because of how thin the fabric is, you can easily see my nipples, so I wish they used a thicker cut. For the fabric, I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. For the workmanship, the neckline and shoulder is finished with fabric tape for extra comfort, durability, and a cleaner look, which I do appreciate. The neckline has good stretch and is ribbed to help retain its shape. It uses a chain stitch on the shoulder for more stretch. It uses a reinforced double needle top stitch on the neckline. The sleeves and waist are sewn with a blanket stitch. Flipping this tee inside out, I noticed there are loose threads in a couple of areas, but other than that, the construction is not bad at all. For the workmanship, I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. For the value, this shirt is made from 100% natural fibers. I know hemp is not a cheap fabric, but I would prefer a thicker cut. So for the value, I'll rate it as 7 out of 10. That gives Taylor Stitch a total score of 23 out of 30. This is a wool blend t-shirt from Wool and Prints. I won't include this shirt in the final rankings because this shirt is made from wool and not cotton, but this shirt is a fan favorite, so I have to include it in this video. This is a single jersey knit made from 78% wool and 22% nylon. It's very lightweight with a fabric weight of 160 GSM. They also have a heavyweight option that is almost double the weight at 300 GSM. Just like everybody else, I spent all weekend reading scientific journals on wool. I found out that wool is not antibacterial. Bacteria can still grow on wool, but the magic is that wool and skin oils are made up of completely different molecules. Wool is polar and skin oils are non-polar. That means the two don't mix. So wool will end up repelling your skin's natural oil so it won't smell. And when you blend in synthetic fibers like nylon, you get all the properties of tougher, softer, and water repellent without losing any of the odor fighting properties of wool. And that's what makes these tees so special. Which is thicker, this hoodie or this tee from Wonder Looper? If you chose the hoodie, you're wrong. This tee is made in Japan using 100% cotton with a staggering 409 GSM weight. Let me show you how heavyweight this tee is. This tee is literally standing up on its own. The size medium weighs in at 380 grams and the thickness measures to 1.39 millimeters, which is the thickest tee featured in this video. This tee is made from circular knit machines as opposed to century-old loop wheel machines. This means the texture is denser and has a more uniform texture compared to the slubbiness of loop wheel tees. The texture isn't silky smooth, it has a little bit of roughness to it. I'm a huge fan of the silhouette of this tee. Because of the heavyweight fabric, it has a straight and even drape on the body. The fabric also doesn't cling. I'll rate the fabric a perfect score of 10 out of 10. This tee is made from circular knit machines, which is similar to loop wheel machines, but it's more modern, it's faster, and more efficient. On the sides, it has a flat seam construction made by a 4-needle flat seamer. This basically takes the fabric and presses it together to make it flat as possible, which adds to the comfort. You don't want a conventional overlock stitch or else the sides will be very bulky. It uses a binder collar construction where the body of the fabric is sandwiched between the ribbed fabric of the collar, so that creates a raised 3D look. It also maintains its shape longer so you don't get that wavy neckline. Flipping this tee inside out, every seam and stitching in this tee is done beautifully. I did notice an overly long thread at the sleeve that they could have trimmed, but other than that, everything is even and straight. I'll rate the workmanship a 9 out of 10. $114 US makes this the second most expensive tee featured in this video, so I had to rate the value a 7 out of 10. That will give Wonder Looper a total score of 26 out of 30. The internet's favorite brand for basics. I've never heard anyone complain about American Giant, so let's see what the hype is all about. This is made from 100% ring spun cotton. Ring spun cotton is the premium version of regular cotton. It's made by twisting short and long cotton strands together around a ring in a spinning machine. This not only makes the fabric stronger, but also softer than regular cotton. This tee has a fabric weight of 515 GSM. That is insane and by far the heaviest tee featured in this video. But for some reason, this tee weighs less than the Merz B tee that uses 380 GSM, so something is not adding up here. The thickness measures to 1.33 millimeters. The drape on this t-shirt is perfect. It has a straight and beautiful silhouette, and because of the heavyweight fabric, it'll hold its shape well. I'll rate the fabric a 9 out of 10. For the workmanship, this tee is made in the USA. It uses a binder collar construction where the body of the fabric is sandwiched between the ribbed fabric of the collar, so that creates a raised 3D look. It also helps hold its shape longer so you don't get a wavy neckline. One of my favorite features of this shirt is a double needle top stitch at the shoulder and sleeves. A lot of brands would leave this seam flopping left and right, but American Giant sews it down. This adds to the comfort and helps hold its shape better so your seams don't look wavy. Flipping this tee inside out, every seam and stitching in this tee is done beautifully. I did notice an overly long thread at the sleeves that they could have trimmed, but other than that, everything is even and straight. I'll rate the workmanship a 9 out of 10. For $65, that is not cheap, but I think this shirt will last you for years to come. So I'll rate the value an 8 out of 10. That gives American Giant a total score of 26 out of 30. Made in the USA, these are what Steel City calls their perfect tee. Also, this is their perfect tee in navy. This is a single jersey knit made from 100% pre-shrunk cotton. The thickness measures to 0.8 millimeters and the tee weighs in at 181 grams. The texture has a roughness to it. I would describe it as feeling crisp rather than a cozy blanket. Steel City is one of the rare brands that uses pre-shrunk fabric. Pre-shrunk fabric is more expensive than non-pre-shrunk because they have to spend more money on extra fabric. But in turn, it makes it easier to take care of and you don't have to worry about it losing its shape anytime soon. These tees are pigment dyed, so the colors don't penetrate the cotton fibers evenly, so you see more of that vintage fading look, especially at the seams. I would rate the fabric an 8 out of 10. For the construction, there's a double needle top stitch on the collar, sleeve, and hem. The rib neckline has a good stretch to it. I wish Steel City uses extra fabric to line the neckline and shoulder seams for a more clean finish. I don't like it when the shoulder seams flop back and forth like this. Flipping this tee inside out, there's a good amount of extra fabric that's rolled up and not sewn down at the sleeves. It doesn't affect the durability of this shirt at all, but it would just look cleaner if this wasn't there. Other than that, everything looks perfect, straight, and even stitches all around. For the workmanship, I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. $45 isn't a crazy price for this type of tee, so for the value, I'll rate it an 8 out of 10. That brings a total score for Steel City's perfect tee, 24 out of 30. This brand has been making tees for over 150 years in their own factories in England, most noticeably worn by James Bond in Casino Royale. The fabric is insanely soft because it's made from 100% Pima cotton. Sunspel uses a two-fold fabric which is made from twisting two single strands of cotton together. This creates a softer and more durable fabric, which is why Pima tees from fast fashion brands like Uniqlo will feel a lot different from luxury brands like Sunspel. The tee is extremely lightweight, weighing in at only 100 grams. This is the lightest tee featured in this video. The fabric is also very thin, measuring to only 0.78 millimeters. If you hold it up against a light, you can see right through it, and wearing this tee, you can easily see my nips. This will make a great undershirt because of how soft the fabric is, but because of how thin it is, I can't wear this as a standalone piece. I will rate the fabric a 7 out of 10. For the workmanship, everything's made in-house in England. Sunspel's making their tees here for over 150 years. Flipping this tee inside out, I noticed one huge flaw that is similar to the $30 True Classic tee, and that is the crooked chain stitch at the body. This tee shouldn't have passed QC, especially for a luxury brand like Sunspel. If I'm paying $95 for a paper thin tee, the construction has to be at least near perfect. Another complaint I have is I wish Sunspel used extra fabric to line the neckline and shoulder seams for a more clean finish. I don't like it when the shoulder seams flop back and forth like this. It causes creases and it's not comfortable. Other than that, the hem, sleeves, and neckline uses a chain stitch and finish off with a top stitch for a clean finish. I'll rate the workmanship a 6 out of 10. Because of the thin fabric and flaw in stitching, I don't think this tee is worth anywhere near $95. So for the value, I'll rate it a 3 out of 10. That gives Sunspel a total score of 16 out of 30. To summarize, here's a t-shirt version of high school yearbook superlatives. The coziest tee goes to Flint Tinder's heavyweight pocket tee. The heaviest heavy-duty tee goes to Wonderlooper's double heavyweight tee. The best constructed tee goes to Merz B Schwanen's 2S14. The best lightweight summer tee goes to Taylor Stitch Cotton Hemp tee. The best vintage inspired tees goes to Steel City's perfect tee. And the best value tee goes to Uniqlo's U crewneck tee. Here are the final scores for each tee. Let me know in the comments if there are t-shirt brands that I should try next. If you want to see more of my which brand makes the best series, click right here or here, and I'll see you there.